Hey everyone, this is Walaman again with your third episode of Adaptive, the video show for disabled gamers. This time I'm going to be talking a little bit about class choice and how I think it affects disabled people specifically within the game, but everyone has that moment of deciding what class they're going to play next or what class they're going to choose to start off with if they haven't before. I think it's an important decision because it changes your perspective on the game and where how you experience the game. You can love one class and you can play the game because of one class, or you can play another one and hate it and quit the game because of it. So I think ultimately with class choice, the trick is to experiment a little bit. To I think if you're unsure of what you want to do role wise, then you can always play a hybrid class. That's something that I did when I rolled my first paladin. I knew that I could fill all three roles, and I DPS'd up until about 70 or so, back when 80 was level cap, and then switched over to healing during Wrath Dungeons and went on from there. I think having the ability to switch what you're doing is great, and even within the pure classes, it's really great to be able to. You could suddenly hate Frost because Frost either DKs or mages. I was talking about mages, so Frost mages, suddenly you just hate them for whatever reason because of some cane. You've got Arcane, Fire, you can experiment with them if you really like DPSing, then a damage class like a mage or a warlock is perfect for that. But I think if you know that if you're unsure of what role you want to fill, then definitely try to pick a class that can fill different roles. Paladins and druids can fulfill all three, so they're really common choices. I think they've both got kind of interesting flavors, and that's kind of a next consideration is what kind of flavor you want with your character in terms of like if you want a ranged, from a gameplay perspective, that can be a ranged versus a melee, a healer versus a tank. But it can also be from almost like a role-playing perspective. Even if you don't role-play, I think there's a certain aspect of role-playing that kind of goes on in your mind of, oh, I'm this really cool character. Either, oh, I'm this, say I'm a warlock. I'm this really cool, badass, evil character, and I think that's cool. Or, oh, I'm a paladin. I'm this, paragon of the holy light, and I think that I am, so cool because of that. Those kind of things can be a consideration. And I think that's kind of the mindset you have is you have to be making all these considerations. You have to consider what race you want to play. You have to consider what role you want to fill. You have to consider, again, I said, like the flavor of combat that you want, and the flavor of like RP type things that you want. Alliance and Horde isn't really an issue anymore. I would say it's important in your choice, but it doesn't limit you to any classes, or it just changes the side of the conflict that you're on. It's an important choice. It goes along with it, but anymore we're not limited by class choice on per faction, which is kind of nice, I think. So I guess that's. I was kind of trying to keep this short. I rambled a lot on my the second episode about guilds. So I'm trying to keep this a little bit shorter. I think what's important to realize is that you can adapt if you really try to pretty much any kind of class within the game. The classes, once you get a certain familiarity with the game, there's a certain level of knowing mechanics and stuff like that that you have to know. You once you get used to the quick reactions of moving out of stuff and things like that are like basic core gameplay concepts, then learning a new class, learning a new role can become a lot easier. So I think maybe it's not great for your first character to decide, oh, I'm going to play the most complicated class in the game. But if you really really want to challenge yourself, and that that's what you want, and you're fine with a little bit of struggle, then go for it. I think there's a certain mindset in the community where everyone who's new should supposedly roll a hunter or a mage for the first character, and that's like all you ever hear is, oh, you're new, roll a hunter. And I think that's not necessarily true. I think as long as as long as you adapt correctly, I think you can play pretty much any class you want and be fine. It comes down to more personality choice type things. If you don't want to be vocal, you probably don't want to choose a tank. They tend to end up being kind of the leader of the group. And if you don't like competition on terms of like a DPS meter, then sometimes damage is generally what most people suggest to do first. But if you don't like that DPS meter competition, then sometimes damage isn't even the right choice. And healer is if you're not able to think under pressure kind of quickly, not super quickly. You don't have to have world record reactions or anything like that. I'm really slow at reacting to things, and I play a healer just fine. But the healers, you generally want to have decent reactions to things, and healers in particular, I think, are important to make sure that your keybinding setup is really well-rounded. But if you think that your keybinding setup is getting in the way of playing, talk to me. That's what I'm here for. That's a lot of what I'm trying to teach here is keybinding setups. One of my videos, once I finally get around to it, will be about that, and I'm going to really try to show people. I know for me personally, it's how to play one-handed. But for other people, there's various things. There's people that play with poor or legally blind vision. There's people that are deaf and can't access ventrilo, things like that. And I think you just have to adapt to what you want to do. And I think it's difficult, obviously, but I think it all can be done if you're willing to. So I think the long story short is essentially just pick the class that you want to play. Ignore what people say. If you're having fun, that's what matters. At the end of the day, it's a game, and as long as if people are saying that you're affecting their ability to play, then there's that limit of things. But I think generally, if you really look around, this is where guilds are amazing, because guilds can find you a place where you can afford to trial and error, and and you can afford to suck for a little bit, and that's okay. It's okay to suck at the game. I sucked at the game for a long time, and that's okay. So I think that's ultimately what matters, is what's important to you. If being on the top of the meters is what's important to you, then yeah, play a class that you'll be at the top of the meters. But remember that balanced decisions get made all the time, and that the flavor of the month reroll probably won't be the flavor of the month anymore by the time you get to level cap, if you're not playing all the time. So just keep that in mind. Don't just roll something because everyone else is. And make a decision for yourself. If you have to, go ahead, write it down. Write down, okay, my first priority is that I want to be an undead. I actually hate undead. I don't know why I said that. But yeah, I want to be an undead. I'm gonna go create an undead, and that's what I care about. I want to experience Tirisfal Glades, and see what it's like, and I want to create an undead character. That can be your first consideration. So all of a sudden, then you know that you're not going to be playing a paladin. You know that you cannot be playing a paladin because you cannot have an undead paladin. But if, say, you want to be a paladin, well, then you're not going to be an undead. Those things. You kind of prioritize. You go through your list of priorities and you whittle down until you've chosen something. And you kind of go through that decision-making process, because that's what it is. It's another, just like guilds, like I said, it's a decision-making process. It's something you have to go through and just decide. It's not something that can be really decided for you. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. You can email me at Walaman at the Adaptive Gamer. That's the, like THE, Adaptive Gamer, no S, Gamer, .com. You can also message me if you become a member of our site. You can private message me through the site. I'll probably be checking those both pretty regularly, so it doesn't really matter which one you do. Obviously, sign up. Signing up to the site's a great thing. It'll get you to be a part of the community, and you can experience that, and I think that's really good. But you can reach me either way. I'm also in game. Don't Panic Guild on ENR Alliance side. My characters are all in the alts and family rank, so if you message someone that's online and they're in the alts and family rank, they're either me or they're a cell phone call away from me. So I'm willing to log on to help one of you guys play. If you really want to play a warlock but you're new to the game and don't know what to do, I'll help you set up your UI so that you can play a warlock. I'm fine with doing that. I'm going to try to help you guys as best I can, and that's really my goal, is to help everyone as best I can. So and have you guys help me as best you can, because I'm not all powerful here. I don't have all the knowledge in the world. There's things I can learn from you guys too. So thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll catch you next time.